Alright, here we go. Welcome back to Nick Lynch's Comic Corner Classic. Let's known classics. This is episode number 3017, and Doubleshot number 2911. We're here reviewing first New Excalibur, Last Days of Camelot, which collects issues 8 to 15 of this series. The very next trade will be the final trade to discuss for New Excalibur. And then when I finish that, I'll be done with Excalibur. Now, in these issues also, now, the thing is with these issues is that we actually have now, do we have any members in these issues? No, it's still the same lineup. Virtually. Excuse me, yes. So, basically, we do have, I think there's a change of writer in these issues. Yes, we actually have a change of writer. Thinking, really? Yes, really. Chris Claremont just does the opening issue. He does not do the rest. No. The remaining 7 issues of this book, which by the way, this book contains like 9 issues of the book. Actually, like 8. So, the rest of the issues in here are written by Frank Tieri. And then Chris Claremont comes back to do the rest of the book. The reason for this, I have no idea the reason for this. So I'm not going to claim final thoughts on Chris Claremont's run on this book because we're not done with the book yet. So basically, Psylocke leaves the X-Men, and supposedly we have the death of, I think it's the alternate universe Charles Xavier. Yeah, he gets killed off. Well, supposedly dies in this issue, but he comes back later on. Yep. And then we have this brand new writer. And we have Chamber. Yeah, I think with Chamber in these issues is interesting because this starts up to say his quote for him that gets carried over in New Warriors. Or Chamber gets his new look, where he looks like Apocalypse. And he maintains his look until just after AVX, where he's back to his classic look, where he's got like a silver skin. He basically he's got an actual mouth. And I believe he's not called the Sable just yet per se, but he does get a brand new power set. It's like the whole thing of, because the fact he's a descendant of the clan, because apparently he's a descendant of Apocalypse. So, by the way, prior to this very issue's last appearance was in Generation M #1. That was the last time we saw him. And I think it's interesting that Frank Tieri is the one who basically says his quote for the character. And of course, we're bringing Black Knight as well in the book, because why not? Also, the character of Ozymandias, the Marvel character, not the Watchmen character. Yeah, he poses as Apocalypse here, where he's like a robot. It's like, yeah, we just said we do say his quote for him and just having a dumped over New Warriors get a new code name. We get a one-shot appearance of an alternate version of Art the Pendragon in this issue. Yes. It feels like with this one, it seems as though that we just have, I'm guessing this, probably just a Captain Britain type of issue for issue 10. For issue 11, it's more like an alternate version. Yeah, and by the way, the issue 11 is basically a redrawn of the first issue, just with the characters wearing medieval style of attires. And the whole thing is basically dealing with Camelot. And fighting dragons, Merlin in these issues, but the book is a lot of fun. Basically, the last of Camelot wraps issue 10. It's a quick read part. Then we have Unredeemed, which the whole thing, this one, it focuses on Juggernaut and them take on the Wrecking Crew. And Black Degassi is in jail. It's a quick three-parter. And by the end of this, basically, he is looking at the center rack of the jewel that's from his chest. So it's like, okay, we have a fun story with Camelot. And then we have the stuff of the Juggernaut, and well, that's it for that one. Great set of issues. I loved every single bit of this. And we only have one more tree left to go. We have overall about 9 more issues to review for this book, and then we're done with Excalibur. Yep, I'm gonna give New Excalibur Volume 2, Last Days of Camelot, a 9 out of 10. Next up we have is Alpha Flight Volume 2. Yes, Alpha Flight Volume 2. Which contains, this is like all new, all different Alpha Flight. This is Alpha Flight Volume 2, Waxing Poetic, which collects issue 7 to 12 of the book. Excuse me, still written by Scott Lobdell. He pretty much writes the whole book. And unlike in the case of the Alpha Flight issues, the Waxing Poetic story arc, is it 3 issues per se? No, it's a quick 2-parter. We have a new named Mar, a kid who was adopted by. It's like the whole thing with this character, he's supposedly a relative of Namor, but never really confirm it. And we have him take on the Man-Animator. Yeah, you see her just for those 2 issues. And then pretty much by the way, the members of these issues are Continental, Major Maple Leaf, Nemesis, Puck, Sasquatch, Yukon Jack, and Mar. Major Maple Leaf, which is a different character. It's not, it's not the Guardian. Nope, it's a completely different character. Nemesis, this one is a different character. And at one point she kissed an old man. Maybe they were in a relationship, but it doesn't really go anywhere at all. Not really. Now, for the remaining 4 issues of the trade, of the volume, it's called Days, Future, Present, Past, Participo. The cover for issue number 9 is a clear homage to Uncanny X-Men issue 141. Basically, the best way to describe these issues, it's let's do Alpha Flight's take on Days, Future, Past. And that's literally what this book is. And have Box Trouble take place of Sentinels. And we also return of Omega Flight here, which is an alternate version of the group. Yeah, it's a group from the future. And members are Jerome Jackson, Smart Alec, Diamond Lily, Wild Child, Flashback, and Death and Courtney. I would say it's a different take on these future past. Except in the US getting nuked, it's Canada. That's kind of what these issues are. And then by the end of this, Continental, a guy who is an old man, he actually kissed Nemesis. He gets killed off by the final issue of the book, and Nemesis leaves the group, and Mar and Union Jack leave the group, and then, of course, basically, the group does return after this. This is once an appearance of a version of Omega Flight and another version of Alpha Flight. It's let's basically just, oh yeah, and the Alpha Flight is in a completely different reality. One appearance issue, but it's really interesting set of issues per se. Alpha Flight, and Sally put this will be the final Alpha Flight ongoing series, because since this book's conclusion, we've had 2 Alpha Flight miniseries. No more ongoing. None. By the way, its last issue was published in 2005. Roughly 20 years ago. And like I said, in a period of time, we've had 2 miniseries. The first one came roughly 6 years right after this. 6? Yeah, 6 years later. And the next one will come for another decade. But what happened to Alpha Flight right after this? Well, as soon as this book wrapped up, they got killed by the character became Weapon Omega. Michael Porter, a postman from Alaska who got the power of his mutant. So basically, what did he do? He killed Alpha Flight. He killed this lineup. And supposedly Sasquatch part of the lineup. But it was later retconned that he actually survived this somehow. And he was made a member of the brand new Omega Flight. And unlike previous Omega Flights, which were villains, this incarnation was a heroic group. And the whole thing with this lineup is that the main purpose of the group was be Canada's Border Patrol, where they were stopping superheroes who were not registering from crossing the border. And pretty much almost the entire lineup, except for one person, was Canadian. The only non-Canadian part of this lineup was U.S. Agent, who absolutely hated the fact they went up there. He's like, what the heck? He's like, what the heck is this? Why am I going to Canada? Why? He was not happy camper at all. And they got the mini-series, and then there was continued over more comics. And I'll discuss in some other point when it comes to that. When it comes to Alpha Flight, I wore a book up to go for them, and that's the Fear Itself tie-in. Well, it's the trade known as Fear Itself Flight, which contains the entire 4th volume for the series, which was I'll talk more about that later, but this one was actually pretty good. Yeah, so this was the first and only ongoing published when I was reading comics, but this kind of started not long after I started reading comics. But while I've been reading comics, the only number ones I've seen has been the 2 miniseries. I never saw the first ones because when the first one came out, I wasn't born yet. Second volume, I was a little kid, wasn't reading comics yet. This one I was reading comics, but I just got into comics when this book came out. But the title of the book basically did have a legacy. You know, the all new, all different. Yes, Marvel used that logo as an initiative and a title of 2 books. I am not kidding about that. They seriously did this. Like, they did this as part of the post-Secret Wars initiative. Like, some of us don't like those words, so they made an initiative. It's a shame Alpha Flight didn't do much after this. Like, aside from miniseries and guest friends or books. Do I think, personally, Alpha Flight should get an ongoing? Yes. Definitely. But sadly put, we have only one book left to go. But final thoughts here on the 3rd volume of Alpha Flight. It is a very interesting volume per se. It is basically just Sasquatch forming their Alpha Flight because the original Alpha Flight was missing. They found them, and then the new Alpha Flight was like continuing Alpha Flight, and the original one basically kind of semi-retired. And plus, I think in book basically Sasquatch was bored. But I did find interesting that we had Lobdell write this book because he was one of the writers of the first one for the series, and I guess Marvel was like, hey, why not have Lobdell write this? He had a good time writing the first one. I'm like, okay. Here's something I would love to see Marvel do, if they ever do another Alpha Flight book. How about bring back John Byrne, the guy who was the original writer of the Alpha Flight book, and have him work with Chris Claremont again. Because they created these characters, so why not have them transfer them again? It's possible. But, yeah, like I said, next time when I discuss this book, it's going to be the last volume of release. Same thing with Excalibur. Basically, the last trade would be the end of it. Would be for Alphaflight's last volume that I'll discuss. For New Excalibur, it's the final trade for that series. That's it. Yep. Now, why I think the book ended? Low sales. That's what I heard anyways, low sales. That's been a big problem why basically Volume 2, Volume 3 weren't as was Volume 1. I think because they ended at a bad time and they probably could recapture the spark of the original volume. I mean, you can't have Bill Mantler write it again. I mean, why not just have one of the writers of the previous volume, the first volume, write it again? I mean, someone besides Scott Lobdell. Like, you can have John Byrne write it again. I'm not sure what he's doing now. The only writers I can possibly see could do it again, I can see Famous Seas do it again. I don't know, I think he did the most recent volume for this series. No, that was Ed Bronson. I can see Famous Seas do it again. Yes. I can see Simon Furman do it again. That's possible. But like I said, if I was in charge of this book, I would pick one of the writers of the first volume, or just pick, Chris Camelot write the book and have him and John Byrne co-write it. Yeah, I'm sure they get plenty of material out of it. By the way, Mar was like the last new member to join the group. And here's the thing. Volume 4, it was just a reunion book. So here's what happened basically. So, of course, Camelot died in issue 12, along with Nemesis died sometime later. Of course, Major Bailey and Puck, who... This, of course, is the original Puck, this is a different Puck. Both died in November 16. Apparently, that Yukon Jack married Time Dispatch Songbird. Snowbird. Yeah, but Alphaflight's still a good book. Yep. So yeah, this particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and choose the like button. Oh, someone might be asking, would I get a chance to do a Mega Flight? I probably should review Alphaflight. I could probably do that maybe after I do Alphaflight Volume 4. And I also need to do True North as well. Yeah, I'll probably do it at some point, but not right now, okay? But, do this next video, which will be, Doctor Who, okay? Bye.